starting a new cycle, speed strength cycle. So obviously it's about how fast you can move relatively heavy weight, not heavy, but how fast you can move under load. So today it's all about intent, which means generating as much power for as fast as possible. Really getting to the fun and good stuff here. So these kinds of training, it's more related to jump training. And the previous work that I've done, like hypertrophy, strength-based training, even strength speed, those are not that relevant, not that specific. It's very relevant, it's not that specific to jumping. So hopefully this will transfer to my jumping. I'm doing power cleans here, 6 sets of 2. You can see that the bar tilts to one side. I don't know why. I didn't know this before. I've noticed it. I've noticed it before happening, but I wasn't aware that it happens so often. So I'm gonna try and fix it later on. But in general, I'm pretty happy with how I felt today. Felt pretty quick and explosive. Felt like I had a lot of energy, which is good. So here I'm doing jump squats, but with a fast eccentric. So I'm basically just lowering the weights super quick, as fast as possible, and then handling all that downwards momentum and trying to explode up as fast as I could. Aside from that, I also focused on a lower depth because I find that in the lower depth I feel it in my glutes and hamstrings way more, and those muscles are in my body. It's a weakness I have. My posterior chain is weak, so I'm gonna go up with the weight even more here. This is 80 kilos. This is 80 kilos. So yeah, this is around 50%, 50 to 40% of my half squat max. And I'm just trying to explode up as fast as I could with lower depth. Now on this last 2 sets, I dropped the weight down back to 60. Because in my previous macro cycles, I've experimented with heavy weight and then followed by an explosive movement. And when I, let's say, squat heavier and then go back down, drop the weight, I find that I can move the weight way quicker. So I just tried it out. The result was not that fascinating, really. I didn't feel as quick as I expected myself to feel. Aside from that, I don't know why recently I've started to jump more with my hamstring. You can see sometimes when I jump, my feet curls back. Yeah, so another point to add is throughout today's workout, because there's a lot of jumping involved, I also took it as an opportunity to kind of connect my mind with the muscle. What I guess this is what they call mind-muscle connection, right? So just trying to focus on squeezing the glutes and hamstrings, because the quads, they come quite naturally to me. But sometimes I find that, especially my right calf, it flicks a lot. So I think my right calf takes over for some other weaknesses in my body. And I find that my left glute is less explosive, less fast. I'll be doing explosive single leg hip thrusts later on, and you'll see for my left side I'm less quick, basically. And I just want to add power cleans and fast eccentric jump squats are great because it really trains the eccentric portion. And it's very similar to in a 2-foot jump. It's very similar to when you plan your penultimate step. You know, that big step right before your takeoff. Very similar to that, because in that step there's a lot of speed and you're handling a lot of force, and you have to absorb all of that and transfer all the energy upwards, right? So in a jump squat and power cleans, it really trains that, and it feels quite similar to steps, but in a very almost mechanical manner. It's similar, but it has more of a mechanical and controlled taste. So I love that because it really allows me to work on the activation of my muscles. Since I've noticed that in my jumps there's been a lot of issues with technique, even though they're quite minor at this point, but I'd still like to address them and be mindful. It's very easy for us to fall into a kind of asleep autopilot mode when we've been training for a while, and I've been doing this for just 1 year now. It's just a little, maybe like 1 or 2 weeks more than a year since I've started jump training, and I find sometimes I go into this pattern of autopilot because I'm used to the training, but I know in order to keep improving, you have to challenge your body, challenge your mind, give yourself some variety in your training, and intent is very important in training explosive movements like jumping and sprinting. Speaking of sprinting, I'll be adding those on next cycle. Actually no, this cycle. Second day of my training will be that. So yeah, right here, as we were talking about awareness, right? So now I'm trying to be aware of my movements and how my body feels. And look, the right calf kind of flicks out, and I could notice that, and I tried to adjust, and then I could feel the squeeze in my glutes and hamstrings way more, and my inner thighs felt way more contracted as I'm doing these band assisted jump squats. I've done this previously, but this time I really focused on getting a lower depth. I know it's in a 2-foot jump, you don't really squat that low, but I'm trying to train the qualities that I lack.